Welcome to the Hockenheim Ring in Baden-Württemberg. After a 5-month break, the world's most popular touring car championship, the DTM, kicks off its new season. The drivers will compete in 10 races in 5 countries, and it will be the last race of this kind because next year there will be new cars and new regulations. But before we get to the upcoming season, let's take a look back at last year's races. After winning 3 seasons in a row, Audi had only one goal for 2010: defending its title. The first race of the season in Hockenheim proved to be a huge disappointment for Audi. Not a single Audi driver got up to the podium. The Audi drivers were almost consistently hit with bad luck, like with the double tire damage of Martin Tomczyk's A4 DTM. But Audi came back with a vengeance in Spanish Valencia. Matthias Ekström happily dominated the race from start to finish, winning the pole position, fastest lap time, and finally the race. Operation Defending the Title goes on. But then a long haul on the home turf. Only one driver made it to the podium in the next 3 German races. Matthias Ekström's second-place win on the Norris Ring was respectable, but not enough for the overall goal. There was a little upswing with a third-place win at the Dutch Zandvoort, the British Brands Hatch, and at Oschersleben in Sachsen-Anhalt. But it was only at the second race at Hockenheim where Audi was back in proper form. It wasn't enough to win the championship, but 2 Audi drivers, Timo Scheider and Mike Rockenfeller, were both able to get up to the podium. There was finally the longed-for relief at the Adria International Raceway in Venice. But there was a horrifying moment of shock before that: Alexander Permat's catastrophic departure. After the initial shock wore off, one thing was clear: the Audi A4 DTM safety cage held up well during the brutal pounding, and Alexander Permat exited the car a little shaken but uninjured. The race continued and the defending champion Timo Scheider started getting back into the groove. His victory confirmed the performance capability of the Audi A4 DTM. It was a clear cue for the competition, but Operation Defending the Title proved unsuccessful. Timo Scheider's third-place win at the last race of the season in Shanghai was only a marginal note. 2010 was truly not the year of the rings. The A4 DTM just couldn't find the optimal symbiosis with the tires. But there's hope for the new season because different tires will be used in 2011 and the playing cards are reshuffled. There's only one thing for certain: the hunted of the 2010 season will now be the hunters of the 2011 season. For an optimal and successful start to the new season, the Audi Motorsports team strengthened and rejuvenated their squad with 3 new members. The Swiss driver Rahel Frey enters the battle for points in the DTM. The experienced Formula 3 championship driver will start alongside the experienced DTM driver Martin Tomczyk on the Audi Sports Team Phoenix. The 2 other rookies will be driving for the Audi Sport Team Rosberg. The Italian Edoardo Mortara enters the DTM as a Formula 3 Euro Series champion. And the 25-year-old Portuguese driver Felipe Albuquerque has made a name for himself amongst motorsports fans since winning the 2000 Race of Champions. With Audi's new drivers, the average driver age is down to 27, the youngest Audi DTM team ever. Miguel Molina starts his second year in the DTM for the Audi Sport Team Abt Junior, but experienced DTM drivers will also be riding next to the rookies. 2 experienced drivers, Oliver Jarvis and new team member Mike Rockenfeller, will be driving for Audi Sport Team Abt and Abt Sportsline. The spearhead of the team consists of 2 DTM double champions: Matthias Ekström, the most successful Audi driver in the DTM, and Timo Scheider, the best Audi factory driver of the last 3 years, and once again the most promising candidate to win the championship.
Dieses Jahr muss ich als
Since I'm the hunter this year, I have to prepare myself differently. I have to attack because I want to get the championship back to Ingolstadt and Kempten. It was different for me in 2008 and 2009, but I gained a lot of valuable experience in 2010 and a little pain from the defeats at the beginning of the season. And I hope we'll start off where we ended, on the podium.
Und ich hoffe, dass wir da anschließen können, wo wir aufgehört haben, nämlich auf dem Podium. Ja.
The Audi driver's equipment, the A4 DTM, remains technologically the same since the 2009 mandatory development halt. The V8 engine from Ingolstadt still has 460 horsepower. The A4 DTM versions of the R14 and R14 Plus are also the same as previous years, but the drivers now have to struggle with a considerable alteration. Hankook is a new supplier to the DTM circuit. The Korean high-performance rubber compound tires, named Ventus F200 and Z207, will still have to prove themselves on the track. The tires are the big unknown this season. Even though the test drives have provided some vital information, we still don't know how the tires will perform under actual racing conditions. We're excited to see how the new tires on the A4 DTM will work here on the Hockenheim ring, which is known for its pitfalls. And now to the track analysis. Hi, I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite DTM racetracks today, the Hockenheim ring. It's a very, very fast track, so let's get started. The first curve is already super fast. You take it in 5th gear going 200 kilometers or 124 miles per hour. It's really important to hit the turning point perfectly so you get some speed. Then into the second curve. You have to brake really late, and again, it's really important because the ground is a little uneven. You brake late to get the car to turn, and then you have to hit the gas really early. Because from there, it's the long straightaway to the hairpin turn, and every bit of speed you take with you out of the curve is important. Then you brake again as late as possible, downshifting from 6th to 1st gear. We have a top speed of over 260 kilometers or 161 miles per hour, and we really need to hit the brakes hard to slow the car. You still have a few problems with the traction on your way out. Be early with the gas, and then it's through the right bend by the Mercedes Arena. Then there's a left turn, and you have to hit the brakes again and take it in 2nd gear. What's really important here is that you keep your car steady to get a clean exit. Then you're almost headed towards the Motordrome. There's a little right bend that you can't take too quickly. So you have to really feel the car here too, because it always gets a little out from under you. And then comes the nicest part of the track. We arrive at the entrance of the Motordrome. That's always great because you come back to the fans. It's another really quick part of the track. You drive out to the curbs, it's real extreme with the car. And then the Sachs curve, a very famous curve, super elevated. This is where you really try to brake early on. There are these different lines you see between the different drivers. Be early on the gas here as well. You take the last 2 curves in 3rd gear. They're not as quick as the other ones. You get to the grip limit of the car, and now it really counts to get to the gas pedal early. So you take all the speed you can with you to the finish line. If you did all that correctly, you should hopefully have a time of around 1:33, ideally 1:33.5. Then you've really done well in the DTM.
Ich denke, dann ist man ganz weit vorne in der DTM.
The beginning of the season in Hockenheim attracts a really large crowd, especially with this great weather. But before the drivers compete for their starting places, let's take a look at what's going on around the track. The Hockenheim racetrack is once again a mecca for thousands of motorsports fans. The familiar atmosphere of the traditional track is drenched in the smell of gasoline and is definitely one of the highlights of the year. It's no wonder there are many prominent guests in attendance, like the Formula One driver Nico Rosberg. There are also celebrities from the music scene as well. For example, the group Madcon, which have reached cult status in Germany with their hits Beggin' and Glow.
Yeah, it's called Audi TV. We having fun, bruh. Ekström. I'm trying to buy your car, but maybe not today. Peace.
Mike Rockenfeller and Timo Scheider should have the best chances for pole position after the first free practice. Mike Rockenfeller in his school bus yellow car was fastest here in the free practice, followed by Timo Scheider. But enough with the guessing. Now we'll start playing our cards and see how the balance of power is divided. The second qualifying round ends with a perfect score for the boys from Ingolstadt. Scheider in front, followed by Tomczyk and Rockenfeller. The third qualifying round doesn't go quite that well, but Timo Scheider and Matthias Ekström get two coveted places for Audi in the fourth qualifying round, the shootout. Only one timed round is left for the four fastest drivers to compete for the first few positions. Timo Scheider performs well, but ultimately there's a simple reason he only gets fourth place. Matthias Ekström, on the other hand, didn't have any tire problems. The Swede was fast on all parts of the track. Only lagging a tenth of a second behind, he gets second place and a promising position for the race. Yeah, I'm happy to start in second place. It's the first row. Everyone wants to be there, obviously. But me and my boys had to make the best out of the situation. The results of the qualifying rounds look promising from an Audi point of view. Now it's important to turn that into even better results. Matthias Ekström has the best chances of achieving this. He just set up his car in the second position right behind us. There are 6 Audi drivers in the top 10, which makes it look like a good race for Audi. We're eager to see how the new Hankook tires on the Audi A4 DTM will do on the length of the track. We're hoping for an exciting race. Enough about the tactics, let the race begin. Ekström has a good start in his blue A4 DTM and attacks the pole setter. The Swede, driving for Audi, squeezes in on the inner side and pulls up next to Spengler. But it's not quite enough. Spengler takes the battle line and barely fends off Ekström's attack. Timo Scheider maintains his position behind them in a white car this season. Tomczyk in a yellow-green car slips from 5th to 6th place, but he's able to make it back to 6th again in the 7th round. Susie Stoddart enters the pit stop too early, and it doesn't go that well. The Brit takes the tank cannon with her, luckily without causing any serious harm. Ekström remains Audi's spearhead up front, 2nd place for the Swede. Tomczyk has trouble at the pit stop in the 24th lap as well. Just like Susie Stoddart's Mercedes, he has trouble with the tank cannon. But it isn't Tomczyk's fault. The signal for him to go came too early. The race is cleared again in the 28th lap. There are no changes up front until the very end. That's when Timo Scheider in 3rd place puts some real pressure on Ralf Schumacher. Scheider gives it his all, but it's not enough for the Austrian by choice driving for Audi. He remains in 4th place. Matthias Ekström saves himself from Ralf Schumacher and comes in 2nd. At the end of the last 4 curves, something broke on the suspension arm. Then the car was like a forklift, and at the end, Ralf was only 1/10 of a second behind me. Martin Tomczyk comes in 5th, which is the best placing for a driver in last year's car. The older A4 DTM model seems to fit the native Rosenheimer perfectly. Well, I think you always make the best with what you have. That's what I try to do. I drive my race and I do what I'm best at, and that's driving fast. If it works so well with last year's car, that's great. But still, I've set my goals and I really hope to achieve them this year. It wasn't quite enough for the win in the first race, but the hard times of last year seem to be over. The A4 DTM is back in the game and ready to win, right on schedule for the new season. I think we've shown that we're back, and Zandvoort is a racetrack which we did well on the past few years. That's where we want to turn the tables and get the first win of the season for Audi. Matthias Ekström ends the race in 2nd place in a Mercedes sandwich between Bruno Spengler and Ralf Schumacher. Positions 2, 4, and 5 go to Audi. 3 drivers in the ranking points. It's surely not the perfect score, but there's no reason to give up. We showed that the speed is there. The new tires work with the Audi cars. It was difficult today in the safety car phase as well. Their championship continues in 2 weeks in the Netherlands in Zandvoort. That's where we can show that there's only one more place to go, and that's up. I'd be happy if you join me once again. See you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.